Hello everyone, this is Remlays from 40k Theories, and welcome to this new episode of 40k Lore for Newcomers. For this episode, we will be continuing with our brief look at the Warhammer 40,000 timeline. While these videos will typically focus more on humanity's actions throughout the timeline, certain important Xenos events will also be documented throughout. So without further ado, let's continue. The following account is a continuation of events occurring throughout M41. Because of how intricate and detailed the events of this time were, only certain key events will be mentioned, which in turn will be expanded upon in future videos. In addition, there is also a small chance for potential inaccuracies of specific dates due to contradicting sources. For events that occurred prior to this, make sure to check out the previous videos in the 40k timeline. 998 M41. A force of Cadian shock troopers are deployed upon the world of Golgotha in order to retrieve the remains of Commissar Yarek's personal Baneblade, the Fortress of Arrogance. Though the Cadians suffer multiple casualties, they succeed in recovering the tank, which is then swiftly repaired by the tech priests of the Adeptus Mechanicus. The Third War for Armageddon begins. York warlord Ghazghkull Magrok Thraka invades the Armageddon system at the head of a massive Orc war, with his ships outnumbering the defending Imperial Navy by 6-1. Imperial forces under the command of Commissar Yarek begin preparing for the inevitable Orc assault, with the Imperium dispatching numerous Astra Militarum regiments, Titan legions, and orders of the Adeptus Sororitas alongside 20 chapters of the Adeptus Astartes to reinforce the world. The Black Templars chapter mounts a formidable defense of Hive Hell's Reach, denying it to the Orcs, though Hive Acheron would fall quickly to Ghazghkull's horde thanks to the treason of the former planetary governor, Hermann von Strab. Yarek, named as Supreme Commander of Imperial forces during the war, would begin organising various counter-offensives to push back the Orcs. Hermann von Strab would be hunted down and executed by the Penal Legion squad known as the Last Chancers. The war devolves into a stalemate, with neither side being able to gain the upper hand over the other. As the stalemate continued, Ghazghkull would grow bored and leave the Armageddon system, leaving his various nobs to continue the battle in his stead. Yarek and a force of Black Templars would also leave the world in order to pursue the Greenskin warlord. Despite this, more and more Orcs would continue flocking towards Armageddon for the prospect of battle, and the Imperium would continue to send reinforcements to prevent the world from falling. A splinter tendril of Hive Fleet Leviathan invades the Cryptis system, where it is brought into conflict with the Blood Angels chapter and a newly awakened force of Necrons. Though the system is scoured by a Necron weapon known as the Starflame, the tendril is only stalled, and the Tyranids continue to advance. The world of Galdamor becomes the battleground for a war between the demonic legions of Khorne, Nurgle, and Slaanesh. As a result of this conflict, all life upon the world is rendered extinct. Orlis, the planetary governor of Taros, attempts to secede from the Imperium and defect to the Tau Empire. Upon learning of this, the Avenging Sons chapter of the Adeptus Astartes is dispatched to assassinate the planetary governor, though they fail in their mission and suffer heavy losses thanks to the warriors of the Tau Fire caste that were assigned to act as Orlis's bodyguards. A massive Imperial war host is then dispatched to exterminate the Tau and bring the world of Taros back into compliance. Both forces experience heavy casualties during the course of the campaign, and the Imperium is forced to withdraw, leaving the Tau in possession of the world. The Tau then proceed to rename the world to Taros and begin utilizing it as a mining station. 999 M41. The hive world of Narades falls victim to a massive demonic incursion. the demons quickly begin overrunning the world's planetary defense forces, though Imperial reinforcements arrive in the form of a Space Wolf Great Company under the command of Harold Deathwolf. The Space Wolves begin to steadily push their foes back, but the Astartes would eventually fall victim to a demonic ambush following the Battle of Hive Genos. Deathwolf's forces would have been wiped out were it not for the unexpected appearance of the Wulfen, bestial space wolves from the lost 13th Great Company. Following the conflict, the Wulfen was sent to Fenris to await the judgment of the Great Wolf Logan Grimnar. This would lead towards the Space Wolves hunting the other members of the 13th Great Company before they could be discovered by the Inquisition. The Dark Angels chapter makes planetfall upon Narades shortly after the conflict, in search of sacred relics known as the Seven Shadows. The demon known as the Changeling takes the form of an injured scout known as Arad, who would be interrogated by the chapter's librarians. The Changeling deceives the Dark Angels by convincing them that the Wulfen were demonic in nature, and that the Space Wolves themselves were tainted. This then prompted the Dark Angels to gather allies before setting course for the Fenris System, in order to destroy this supposed corruption. The mechanisms of the Golden Throne are shown to become more difficult to maintain, with some components becoming all but irreparable for the Adeptus Mechanicus. In desperation, an expedition into the Webway is launched by members of the Mechanicus and the Inquisition, with their destination being Camorra, the realm of the Drukhari. Once within Camorra, a dark bargain is then struck between the Inquisition and the Drukhari. A splinter tendril of High Fleet Leviathan begins an invasion of the Octarius system, drawing the ire of the system's Orcish Empire. The fighting grows so intense that both the Tyranids and the Orcs reach a stalemate, with neither side able to best the other. The arrival of Ghazghkull Thraka, who had been flung through the warp after his withdrawal from Armageddon, changes the conflict for a time, but the Prophet of the War does not stay for long, instead continuing his mission from Gork and Mork to unite the Orcs in the Great War. Within Camorra, the bonds of the warp portal known as Kane's Gate begin to weaken. The Eldari Farseer, Eldrad Ulthran, convinces forces from Craftworlds Ulthwé and Saimhan to launch an assault upon the Imperial naval base upon the moon of Coheria. Once the attack is underway, Eldrad begins performing a ritual in an attempt to awaken Ynnead, the Eldari god of the dead. A Deathwatch kill team would launch an assault upon Eldrad's forces, destabilizing the ritual, and Eldrad would be forced to flee as Coheria exploded. Ynnead begins to stir within the warp at the exact moment that the gladiatrix Yvraine is slain within the gladiatorial pits of Camorra. This prompts Ynnead to resurrect Yvraine, imbuing her with his power and transforming her into his emissary. This inadvertently causes an event known as the Disjunction, where demonic entities would begin to manifest within Camorra. With the aid of the mysterious swordsman known as the Vizarg, Yvraine would escape from Camorra during the confusion, and begin her quest to fully awaken Ynnead, gathering a cadre of followers who would become known as the Anari. The siege of the Fenris System begins. The Alpha Legion succeeds in summoning a series of demonic rifts throughout the Fenris System, causing each of the system's worlds to become subjected to demonic invasion. As the Space Wolves succeed in finally scouring the demons from the system, the Dark Angels along with 14 other Space Marine chapters would transition into the system. Still intent on saving the Space Wolves from damnation, the Dark Angels commence an orbital bombardment of Fenris. Captain Stern of the Grey Knights and Wolf Lord Ragnar Blackmane would reveal the Changeling's scheme, exposing the demon upon the bridge of the Dark Angels' fortress monastery of the Rock. The demon, seeking to spread knowledge of the Fallen, is eventually confronted and banished back into the warp, and the Dark Angels realize that the Space Wolves were not the true threat. Seeking to take advantage of the confusion, the Thousand Sons Traitor Legion launches simultaneous assaults upon the worlds of Fenris and Midgardia, The Thousand Suns conduct a ritual that succeeds in summoning their demonic Primarch, Magnus the Red, to the surface of Fenris, and the Primarch would use his sorcerous powers to begin tearing the planet apart. Midgardia becomes so corrupt and overwhelmed that it would be subjected to exterminatus. After several days of fighting, and the subsequent destruction of each nexus of power upon Fenris, only the Space Wolves' fortress monastery, the Fang, remains. Magnus would slay the Wolf Lord, Eager Lion Wolf, but Logan Grimnar would succeed in injuring the demon with the Axe Morkai, a weapon forged by Khorne himself and tempered by the rune priests of the chapter, and the Grey Knights would banish Magnus back into the warp along with his minions. The bulk of High Fleet's Leviathan invades the Baal system and lays siege to Baal, the homeworld of the Blood Angels chapter. The Blood Angels, along with the majority of their successor chapters, called back by Commander Dante, would mount a heroic defense of the world and its moons, though the Sons of Sanguinius would almost be made extinct as a result of Leviathan's assault. The 13th Black Crusade begins. Abaddon the Despoiler, with a host of heretic Astartes, traitor guard, and scores of demonic creatures at his command, launches an all-out offensive upon the imperial world of Cadia. The mass emergence of the forces of chaos from the warp causes ripples across the galaxy. The Necron Lord, Trazyn the Infinite, traces the source of these disturbances to Cadia, and makes his way to the world. The Iron Warrior's warsmith, Shon-Tu, along with the demon prince, Be'lakor, mounts a surprise assault upon the Imperial Fist's fortress ship, the Phalanx, intent on capturing it to launch an attack upon Terra. The Imperial Fists are vastly outnumbered by Traitor Legion forces, and prepare to make their last stand, before the ghostly warriors known as the Legion of the Damned manifest upon the Phalanx to reinforce the defenders. The forces of chaos are eventually defeated by the Loyalists, and both the Imperial Fists and the Legion of the Damned begin to make route for Cadia to aid Imperial forces. The Archmagus Dominus of the Adeptus Mechanicus, Belisarius Cawl, is prompted by the Harlequin Shadowseer, Salandri Veilwalker, to travel to the world of Elfanor. Upon this world, Cawl discovers objects similar to the infamous pylons of Cadia, before the Archmagos would also make his way to Cadia. The Eldari craft world of Biel-Tan comes under assault by mass demonic incursion. The demon known as the Mask succeeds in breaching the craft world's infinity circuit and attempts to destroy the craft world's very soul. Yvraine and her Inari followers from Kamora arrive at Biel-Tan and succeed in driving most of the demons back. Yvraine purges the Mask from the Infinity Circuit by summoning the Incarnate, the avatar of Ynnead, though many Eldari souls are sacrificed in the process. The Inari then begin journeying towards the moon of Clysus, where they would clash with Azek Ahriman and the Thousand Sons of his Prodigal Sons warband within the Webway. The majority of the Prodigal Sons would be destroyed, but Ahriman himself would escape. The craft world of Iyanden would become invaded by a demonic horde led by the demon prince Garel Gugulgor, and the Inari would arrive to reinforce the craft world. Prince Iriel would be slain by the demon prince, but the Eldari would prove victorious in the battle. Yvraine would use her powers to resurrect the Corsair prince, and his weapon, the Spear of Twilight, would be revealed to be a crone sword. The demon prince Ercanthos leads the initial assault upon Cadia's surface and attempts to capture the world's planetary shield generator. Saint Celestine makes her appearance upon the battlefield and banishes Ercanthos back into the warp. The Phalanx appears within the Cadia system and unleashes a storm of destruction upon the Black Legion's fleet, prompting the traitors to temporarily withdraw. Abaddon the Despoiler then vows to personally lead the next assault upon Cadia. Belisarius Cawl learns of Abaddon's intentions to destroy the Cadian pylons in order to allow the energies of the warp to spread across the expanse of the galaxy. Trazyn the Infinite offers to aid Cawl in maintaining the pylons in order to prevent this, an offer which Cawl reluctantly accepts. Abaddon teleports into the command tower of Lord Castellan Ursakar Creed, seeking to render Imperial forces leaderless. Jaren Kell, Creed's right-hand man, sacrifices himself to allow Creed the time needed to evacuate. Trazyn activates a Tesseract labyrinth that disgorges numerous Imperial specimens from his collection to reinforce the defenders. The pylons, now modified by Call and Trazyn, are reactivated soon after, causing the Legion of the Damned, Saint Celestine, demons, and Psykers alike to begin losing their power, as the tides of the warp are slowly pushed back by the pylons. Creed and Abaddon face off in combat, though Creed is hideously outmatched, losing an arm in the process. Before the Despoiler could slay Creed, Saint Celestine would impale him with her blade, forcing him to retreat into orbit. In his anger, Abaddon crashes the remains of the Blackstone fortress Will of Eternity into the surface of Cadia, and combined with the firepower of the ship known as the Planet Killer, the world begins to fracture. Creed vanishes without a trace. Imperial forces are forced to abandon Cadia, as the world is slowly pulled into the warp. When Abaddon learns that Call is in possession of an artifact that could potentially turn the tide of the war, the Despoiler orders the Black Legion to pursue the Loyalists to Clasus. The Black Legion is forced to retreat thanks to the sudden appearance of the Inari, who guide the surviving Imperials into the webway and begin making their way towards Macragge, the homeworld of the Ultramarines. Abaddon learns from his sorcerers of the Loyalists' intended destination, and dispatches a fleet of traitor Legion Astartes to invade the realm of Ultramar, in order to prevent Call from completing his secret objective. And that concludes this portion of the Warhammer 40,000 timeline. Join us next time as we conclude the events of M41. If you liked this video, consider supporting us on Patreon for more content. To those who are new to 40k, we hope you learned something. So leave a comment below, and thanks for watching.